Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Low Budget Review Show. I am your host, Eric Smith, and today I am talking about My Heart is a Chainsaw by Stephen Graham Jones. This is from Saga Press. Brand new as of this recording. Came out a week, maybe 2 weeks ago. And it is a slasher novel. So, in a nutshell, we're in a small town in Idaho. There's a lake, and there's a legend. There's a camp where some murders happened, or some deaths. There's a new rich people area going up across the lake, neighborhood, whatever. And, Jade Daniels is our main character. She's obsessed with slasher movies, and she believes that one is happening in her town. And that's very nutshell. So right off the bat, this book is a love letter to slashers. It is also a, figuratively speaking, I think, a thesis or dissertation about slashers. I actually had to look those two words up. Excuse me. Everything is blurry for me right now, but I have to wipe my glasses off. I didn't know the difference between a thesis and a dissertation, and according to the dictionary, they're essentially the same thing. There's a slight difference, but anyway, this, as I said, it's absolutely a love letter to slashers. The main character, Jade, is a very broken character, very disenfranchised. She has no friends. She's 17 and lives with her father and works as a janitor for the city. And as I said, she's obsessed with slasher movies. And at the end of every chapter, if not every, almost every chapter, are these papers that she has written for her history teacher that break down slasher movies. Again, sort of a dissertation on slasher movies. And so things start happening in her town and in her mind because of this obsession that she has. She believes a slasher cycle is starting. And she talks about there's the blood sacrifice, and then there's the that gets things going. It has to do with revenge. I feel like I'm forgetting something. And then she meets this girl that she believes is the final girl, and that she has to get the final girl ready. And so much of this is there's a huge question, at least for me, throughout the entire book about, is this actually a slasher cycle, or is this all in this poor broken girl's head? And there are times when she questions this as well, because she knows she's broken. So the writing is straight Stephen Graham Jones. It's fantastic. It's everything except for there's a cold open, and except for that, everything is from Jade's perspective. And so it's not first person, but it still gives the narrative itself at times this snarky Jade attitude, which I enjoyed very much. And there's just so much about the entire history of slasher films, not just in these papers that she's written for her history teacher that we get to read, but just in the narrative itself. And when we are in Jade's mind, there's just so much slasher. But you don't have to be a slasher fan to enjoy this. I think you just have to be either a horror fan. If you are, you should be reading Stephen Graham Jones anyway, or a fan of just good literature, which if you are, you should be reading Stephen Graham Jones anyway. Yeah, everything we need to know, whether or not you could have never seen a slasher film before in your life. But basically, for people like that, as she's teaching her history teacher, she's teaching the reader. I love the ambiguity um, of whether or not this is in her head. Is it really happening? And things do happen. We know that certain things happen, but again, is it just something that happened, or is it part of this slasher cycle? Jade is such a fantastic character in her poor broken way. So well written, so sympathetic at times. At other times, I very much questioned what she was thinking. The other characters, I mean, Stephen Graham Jones, I haven't read a ton of his work yet, but he's another one of these authors, one of these that writes strong characters. The Sheriff Hardy, is a great character. He's excuse me, again, sympathetic, but at times, Jade is the person we're following. So at times we think Hardy's getting in the way. At other times he's trying to be a good person, trying to do his job, trying to help somebody. Mr. Holmes is fun. I like that guy. That's the history teacher. And then the rich people. So you have this small town, and there's a national forest on the other side of this lake, and there's a whole history to the lake and everything. There's urban legends around this town. But on the other side of the lake, it's supposed to be a national park. Somehow somebody got manipulated some things or whatever, so that they're building this community on the other side of the lake for these 5 rich families. One's a super lawyer, one's a media mogul, one's a tech guy, one's a real estate guy, but they're all super rich. And they're interesting. We don't get a lot from them, but we get a little bit. And the final girl is the daughter of one of these people. She does seem, she's at least portrayed in Jade's mind, she's perfect. The perfect girl, perfect for a final girl. Tall, beautiful, smart, but kind. And so I like her character. Even the shitty characters are well written. And there's a lot of mysteries, a lot of mystery that's building up, not just these things that are happening that may or may not be part of a slasher cycle, but they're just hints at things that have happened to other people in the past, things that may or may not have happened to Jade in the past, and the sheriff and the people in the town, and these are just doled out as breadcrumbs. Yeah, it's obviously, I think my enthusiasm is shining through. I gave it 5 out of 5 on Goodreads. It's a great book just on its own. I am a fan of slasher films, so I loved every little thing in there. There's even a shout out to Ben Affleck that one of my favorite little things. One of my favorite Easter eggs, I suppose I can say. I just thought that was great. Just the way, again, it's in Jade's head. This, I don't want to say what it is, but there's a thing, and she, in her head, makes a Ben Affleck reference, and I'm like, I get that, and I think it's great. Yeah, I'm not sure what else to say. Just fantastic writing, fantastic characters, a great story that's ambiguous, but not in an annoying way. I tried to read one of these sort of new style, well, maybe not new style thrillers, but one of these thrillers in the sort of Gone Girl vein. I feel like that's the one that sort of started these things. And it was just, there was way too much of people not saying or thinking things to try to continue the mystery narrative, to keep us in suspense. We don't know what's going on. We don't know what people are referring to. And I don't feel it was done well in that particular book. This isn't that type of book, but it has the ambiguity, and everything we're seeing is from Jade's perspective. But it works here. It keeps us guessing, and it keeps us turning the pages to find out what the truth is, what's happening, what all these little things that are being hinted at are. It works. Stephen Graham Jones is a fantastic writer, and he is absolutely a huge fan of slashers. As a matter of fact, he was on Ghoulish podcast, hosted by Max Booth III, a host, talking about slasher films, and there was something he said on that podcast that made me want to ask him a question. I'm not going to talk about what it is. You should listen to the Ghoulish podcast. But something he said, and I had questions about it. I doubted the veracity of his comment, and it turns out that is addressed in this book. So I now know what his opinion is, what his answer to my question would have been. All right, I don't know what else to say about this. Pick it up and read it. It's great. 5 out of 5 stars. I think I covered everything. There's violence. It's not gruesome. Overly gruesome. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's about it. So my question for this video was very easy to come up with. Do you like slasher films? If you do, what is your favorite slasher franchise, and who is your favorite slasher? Because that could be two different things, as you're going to see when I answer my own question. I've already said I like slasher movies. My favorite slasher franchise, Friday the 13th. Absolutely love it. Freddy Krueger. Love the first Nightmare on Elm Street movie. Really like Wes Craven's New Nightmare. But there's a point where Freddy Krueger just becomes a one-liner throwing goofball, in my opinion. The kills become a little silly. So that's out. Halloween movies, I don't know. I just never really... I like them well enough. I like the first one, second one, even the third one. I like the Rob Zombie remake. I've only seen the first one. I haven't seen the second one. It's different, and it's Rob Zombie. I like Rob Zombie movies. I liked the 2018 sequel. Obviously, there's some bad movies in between, but Michael Myers just never grabbed me as a killer. I know Pamela Voorhees is the killer in the first Friday the 13th. Spoilers if you haven't seen that. But I like Jason. I like the movies. Maybe it's, I don't know, the camp setting for most of them. Again, they're not all winners. But that is Friday the 13th, my favorite slasher franchise. But my favorite slasher, I think she counts as a slasher. I'm going with Chainsaw Sally. Now, you might be asking yourself, what the hell is Chainsaw Sally? Well, it is low-budget filmmaking at its finest. The original movie, Chainsaw Sally, picked it up at a convention from Chainsaw Sally herself, April Monique Burrell. It's written and directed by Jimmy O. Burrell. And Chainsaw Sally is kind of a slasher version of the Punisher, or a Punisher version of the slasher, because she's generally punishing people by murdering them in crazy ways, usually with a chainsaw. but not always. There is a kill in the first movie that I absolutely love. So there's the Chainsaw Sally, the original movie. Then there was 2 seasons of a TV show that was made for online. I actually have both of them on DVD or Blu-ray, not sure which are fantastic. There was a Groundhog Day special, and I believe there's more stuff coming out. But I just love the character of Chainsaw Sally. Love April Monique Burrell's portrayal of Chainsaw Sally. Her relationship with her brother. It's fantastic, especially in the series. More so in the series than in the original movie, although it's fine in the original movie. Just love the character. There was talk of an animated series. Don't know if that'll ever happen. But, yeah. I absolutely love Chainsaw Sally, and I'm saying she's a slasher. I think she fits within Stephen Graham Jones' definition, so that's my choice. So yes, I love slashers. Friday the 13th, my favorite franchise. Chainsaw Sally, my favorite slasher. There you go. Let me know about yours. And if you have any comments, questions, or corrections, please put them in the comments below. Comments are open for spoilers. Just post a spoiler warning. We try to be polite here at the Low Budget Review Show. Please like, share, and subscribe. If you would care to follow me on other social media, my Twitter is @Ronin5757. My Instagram, where I post pictures of books, comic books, board games, and fuzzy animals, is ErikSmith5757. That's Eric with a K, ErikSmith5757. That's all I've got. This has been the Low Budget Review Show. I have been Eric Smith. And until next time, read more books.